Good evening, morning, afternoon to everyone on this webinar. My name is Bharat, and I'm happy to be kicking off this series of webinar, Martech Catalyst, powered by Portkey. Welcome to our very first webinar, and this one is on tech debt. Thanks to everyone who has joined us on this call. We have kept the duration of this call to 45 minutes. Within that time, we will also try answering all of your questions, and we can extend the call if there are questions unanswered. Joining me today to discuss this topic is Shiv. Shiv is one of the co-founders at Portkey. Uh, Portkey is a technology company that works in the realm of MarTech. We are a Eloqua partner for a very long time now, and recently have broadened our partner strategy to include Adobe Marketo Engage, Snowflake, Segment IO, and other leading platforms. We've been working with many Fortune 500 enterprises now for the last decade and have our share of success solving their MarTech challenges. And through that experience, we have understood a lot about tech debt and MarTech and something we have helped these companies overcome. Before we begin the webinar, a few housekeeping rules. If you have questions, there is a chat engine that allows me to read your questions. Please ask your questions there and I will come to them when the time is right. If you need to speak, you can raise your hand and we will take questions after logically ending whatever discussion is ongoing. At the end of the webinar, we will have a Q&A round as well. The recording of this webinar will be sent to you at the registered email address. With all of that said, let's begin. To start it off, the term tech debt, Chief, is not new, but I'd be interested in understanding it in the marketing operations context. So how would you define tech debt?
Hey, thanks, Bharat, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. It's nice to be starting our first Podkey webinar and talking about a topic that I'm closely associated with. I manage the marketing tasks at Podkey, including the operations, and I have had the first-hand experience of the tech debt problems that we have helped our customers with, and that's what we want to discuss today. We want to bring in the facets that we have experienced and help them solve. So coming back to the tech debt term, but so this is, as you said, it's not new. It was first coined back in 1992. So for me, if I have to define tech debt now, for me, it's the simple definition is the technical inefficiencies that slow down any company, any organization from performing optimally. Okay, the uh, the technical inefficiencies that help hinder your growth, okay, and the innovation that is much required in today's world. It's changing. Today's world is changing rapidly, and the businesses need to be on top of the trends that are changing and overall what demand that industry is requiring. So that's what is a definition of tech debt for me. And if I have to get that definition in the scope of marketing operations, so it simply means that any distraction that is stopping your marketing team from its core jobs, like distractions like upkeep of the applications, so maintaining the applications, maintaining the data pipes, data in, data out, the whole spectrum of tasks that marketing operations face today. And their time gets divided there. So those distractions is what I call the tech debt for the marketing operations. Okay, the core objective of any marketing operations team is to provide that excellent customer experience, and anything that is taking your time away from that is what I would call as a tech debt for the marketing operations. And since the topic we're discussing today is the road to zero tech debt now. So for me, the road to zero tech debt is nothing but how you apply a framework, how you structure your martech stack or solution your architecture, whole tech stack, so that all these distractions are removed or they are managed. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Okay. And since our scope for tech debt is more tech, and especially it is a B2B marketing operations.
Mhm.
Let's talk about that as well for a minute. Like, so what's up with the MarTech space, the MarTech world?
The MarTech industry is the success story of the decade now. So it has an explosive growth. It's back in, I think, 2010, 2012, we used to have 100 odd applications that most companies used to use. But now that number is like anywhere between 10,000 to 15,000, or it could be even more, okay, because it's changing so rapidly. And the growth is phenomenal and scary at the same time. And if I have to talk about specifically last few years now, last 3, 4 years, the pandemic brought in a lot of changes. The pandemic accelerated the digital transformation. Everyone had to go online and in no time. So that caused a lot of changes for a lot of companies. Then we have the stringent policies that keep coming every now and then. You have the GDPR compliances that you have to keep up with. You have the Apples, the government institutions, and Googles are bringing all these policies that again change the way the marketing has to be done. Uh, so and you also have now this generative AI storm. So these have been like few challenging years for the marketing operations team specifically in last few years. Okay, and if I have to like tie these two together, if I have to tie the why the tech debt and why I'm talking about all these specifically last 4 5 years is it has accelerated the tech debt accrual. The like a typical company used to have probably like 10 to 15 applications that they used to have in their stack, but that number from a recent report that I read, it's like anywhere like it's more than 100, and it's mind-boggling. And that also gives you the picture now. So when you are
Right.
dealing with that kind of applications, that you're dealing with that kind of data sources now, so that is one of the primary reason why tech debt accrual has increased rapidly.
Got it. Got it. So let's talk about the tech debt in marketing operations. Specifically, can we talk a little bit about the sources of tech debt? What, according to you, are the sources of tech debt, and is there like a way to look at it?
Well, certainly. I think again, this all is the way we have been like experienced the our customers face the issue. Initially, we just solve them as the pain points, but after few like repeated things, we realize that hey, it's more than the pain point. There are the inefficiencies that we have to experience. We have to solve. Okay, so data is one of the primary reasons, primary sources of ticket from what I've seen so far. Okay, and again, in context of the marketing operations, if I have to classify the data that the teams use is I would call first one is the end user data, then you have the attribution data, and you have the asset data or the metadata. So the end user data is the data that all the teams, the contacts data that the teams use, the accounts, the codes, the subscriptions, the opportunities, all that data can be termed as the end user data. So that's one primary source of inefficiencies that brings into the marketing operations, the marketing automation platforms. Then the other one is the uh, attribution
Distribution
data.
mechanism? Yeah.
Attribution data. Okay. And the attribution data is created by your marketing systems, the marketing
Mm.
automation platforms that you use, probably the analytical system that you use. That brings a lot of, it creates a lot of data that I call as the attribution data. And the third category is the asset data or the metadata, the campaigns that your team is creating, the campaign, the emails, the email templates, segments, the programs, all those things, the dynamic content. Okay, so
Yeah.
all landing pages, so all that can be termed as the asset metadata. So that's one more major source of inefficiencies that make slow down your whole marketing operations execution. Okay, so these are the from the three data sources that we have dealt with so far.
Got it. And I
And
think it helps.
yeah, so again, let me just like go a little deep for all these three categories. So let's talk why I'm saying that. Hey,
That'll be
your
helpful.
end
Okay.
user data is the it's causing the tech debt.
Got it.
So
Got it. Yeah,
like
let's go deep.
yeah, so the when the marketing operations team needs the data, they need the data like for providing that amazing customer experience or hyper personalized journeys for your customers. You need data, and the data is nowadays, as I said, the data sources are so many, and you need that data into your marketing automation platform, and making that data available is what that company should be looking at. But what happens is what the operations team end up is managing that data. They are not using that data. They have to they have to build the pipelines, they have to create the integrations, they have to build the connectors. And again, if they have to deal with the other teams to provide that data in case of their challenges of, say, data duplications, or the data is not real time, or suppose I need a new attribute for my marketing programs now. So the operations team is always engaged or like performing these data management tasks. And I think that should can be taken away. And those are the inefficiencies the marketing operations team is dealing with today. So that's the reason I called end user data as one primary source of inefficiencies. And the other one I talked about the attribution now. So attribution data is like, I think you need to have unified marketing data that gets created across your spectrum of teams. Okay, you have a field marketing team, you have the operations team, you have the analytics team, and they are looking at the same data at all the time. So how do
Hmm.
you and the way the data driven excellence now. Okay, so what happens that is like when you want to provide that well informed data driven decisions, the data needs to be contextualized. It has to be structured meticulously, and so that it makes sense to all the stakeholders for your measurement, attribution, your comprehensive reporting. So there's again those additional tasks that the teams need to provide, and those inefficiencies again cause your team divert away from the core job. And so that's why like it's one more set of tech debt. Okay.
Okay.
And if I have to come to the last data source that I'm talking about, the assets and the metadata, actually. So let's take a scenario when you are running a skeletal marketing automation system. Okay, you have all the access to data without any data in, data out, and but you still are creating assets. You are still creating campaigns. You are still creating a lot of emails. You are providing localization uh, for your customers now. You are building those very specific customer journeys for depending on your geolocation. So that that what that does is it accelerates the way you are creating. And again, I wouldn't say there's that's a need now. So you have to create the assets, but that assets keeps accruing over time. Now you have your like campaigns that still was sent back in 2015. Okay,
No,
and
I have some of them.
the Thanksgiving ones probably. So
Hmm.
so yeah, so those and from my experience now, what I've seen is the marketing automation platforms make it difficult to remove those assets because there's a reason as well. So if I go and delete an email now, and if that email has been used in multiple campaigns, so it becomes challenging to remove that asset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so it's a challenge, and most teams members like they don't end up removing that because it's additional task, and they again have to come back to their primary task. So that again creates that inefficiencies. Like from what I've seen, that one customer of us had 10,000 campaigns, and it slowed down the instance. And then when the team members wanted to get to the right asset, they had to spend a lot of time to get to the real. You
Yeah.
had copies of
I
copies of,
remember
yeah,
this. Yeah. I remember
correct,
this incident. Yeah.
yeah. And so Those are one more set of inefficiencies that bring that the marketing options teams have to deal with.
Got it. Got it. That's very interesting, and I think this framework is also very useful to look at data. So, apart from those three, I work with all of these three, and I can really connect to most of them, especially the last one that you just described. So, are there any other use cases, sources of tech debt,
Certainly,
apart
I
from
think
this?
because again, B2B world is huge, okay, and there
Hmm.
are like many permutations and combinations now. Okay, every company is set up differently, and every operations teams uh, performs its executes its operations differently. But if I have to like really say that every program, pretty much every program, application, every process that marketing operation team implements, it can create a tech debt if there is no proper framework applied to it. Okay, so like a lot of times I've seen that because tech debt has, as I said, like it's nowadays people are realizing that hey, we have to account for tech. Whatever we do now, we have to implement the tech debt as well. But it's still not mainstream. Okay, so and that causes a lot of things. Like for instance, let's take the enterprise applications. So I have worked with companies that had multiple. Most of them have multiple business units now. Okay, and the whole reason of the multiple business units is to uh, perform
Right.
those
Yeah. Hmm.
operations differently. Okay, because that's what the company is the 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 company needs. Okay, and like I have seen instances where one business unit was using a Microsoft Dynamics CRM while the other business unit was using a Salesforce CRM, and both were integrated to Eloqua instance that customer had now. Okay, so that had set of challenges. So that's one kind of a setup I'm talking about. And you also have setup where one customer has many instances of marketing automation platforms, Eloqua instances or the Marketo instances. Okay, so it could be geo based, it could be your business based, product line based. Okay,
Right.
so yeah, but the global organization still has to run those common threads across all these business units so that they have the optimal process in place so that there's a common branding. There is the GDPR compliances are followed across all the business units. So they still have a lot of common ground amongst all those different BUs, and that has brought in a lot of technical the inefficiencies now. Okay,
Hmm.
yeah. So yeah, these are like a couple of them that. Oh, sorry. One more category that I forgot was again that's has become very common phenomenon now, where a company keeps replacing their the systems or the applications in their tech stack.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Hmm.
changing the marketing automation platforms. A recent report said it's like one of the 42% of the companies keep changing those, and
Hmm.
I'm sure they have the need now, but that again causes a lot of inefficiencies.
Hmm.
Then you have CRMs being replaced, the data warehouses being replaced. So that's one more category of challenges the companies face when they have to like be on top of them and still be growing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All these problems absolutely acknowledged. Now, what I'm really starting to get curious about is um, I understand this tech debt in marketing operations, but you're saying there's like a proper solution to tech debt, or is this something inevitable and we have to live with it while we're trying to get the performance as expected, or you really think there is like a way to go towards zero tech debt?
It's not inevitable. Companies are still trying their best to be on top of it. They just not have reached to the stage where they need to deal that with like any other processes they have. Okay, so you will get to that zero tech debt if you get that framework in place. You need to realize that zero tech debt has to be addressed from day one, from whatever you're doing now. Okay,
Hmm.
and the first victory is actually just identifying and acknowledging that, saying that, hey, yes, we are having a tech debt and let's go and solve it. Okay.
Just not being in the denial about it. Hmm.
It could be denial, it could be not denial, because there are like cases where you have I have to keep adjusting my AirPods. I'm not still used to it, so it keeps like I feel like it's falling down. So yeah, sorry, like I keep touching my AirPods. So uh, there are intentional tech debt and there's unintentional tech debt. So if you take the example of pandemic now, companies had to like transform, go online in no time now, and they knew that this wasn't organic. They had to uh, be, get online in no time. There was no other option for them. And when they did that now, they had to take shortcuts. They knew that this is not the our business as usual. We are doing things differently, and that's an intentional technique. Now they with a promise that we'll come back and revisit and set the process in. We'll come back, and whatever shortcuts we take, and we'll try to address them. So that's the intentional tech that I'm talking about. But in operations, what I've seen is there are a lot of times like there are unintentional tech debt, and that's what the mindset has to be like. Hey, anything that you do now, there could be a tech debt accrual, and we have to uh, have tasks or someone needs to like look at those, analyze, and set a framework in place or manage that tech debt.
Mindful.
Yeah. And again, the tech debt, the operation team, sorry, are pretty tuned in to whatever they're doing now. Okay,
Mhm.
so if they have a KPI that needs to be met, and let's say they're not able to meet that, and they add more resources to it, they uh, put more people, add get some application into it, and let's say they're not still able to hit that KPI, they're not nowhere close. So that's a red flag. That's a red flag saying that hey, there's something. It's just not a pain point. There's a process, could be a process flaw or some other thing. There's a tech debt that's causing all these issues. So let's go and look at that.
Okay. Okay. So, okay, that's just a good segue. So, can we talk about the solutions for all of the sources of tech debt we spoke about? Could you give us some like specific examples on how to go about it?
Yeah, certainly. As I said initially, like the whole this tech webinar that we're structured now based on our experiences, how we have helped our customers
Mm.
solve them. Okay, so let's go again category wise. I think I spoke about three categories of the data.
Right.
Let's start with the first set, that is the end user data now. So uh, again, so from the past experience, what I have realized is there's a three-step framework that I like to apply. Okay, so let's one is the process. Uh, like, has the process been optimized? Okay, is everything running optimally? Every process that we have put in place, or do we need more processes? The other one is the automation. Hey, can we automate whatever tasks the team is doing, spending a lot of time manually on it, or it's just not efficient? So can we automate those tasks? So that the second point of the framework. And the third point of the framework is the innovation now. Let's say you have perfectly running processes, you have taken care of all your automations, you have reduced the manual tasks to minimal, and you still are not able to, the team is still spending a lot of time in managing the operations now. So innovation is the the third point or the third step in that framework. Okay, so if I apply this framework now to end user data challenges. Okay, so I did mention earlier, so like nowadays the number of applications, number of data sources the teams are using are so many. Okay, and so one of the customers that we worked with had awesome process. They didn't really have any challenge, and they had also automated a lot of tasks. But what we realize is they are still managing the data manually. They are importing the data into marketing automation platforms from a lot of sources now. And when you create that copy of data, okay, so that means you have to manage the data in your marketing automation system now. Okay,
Right.
and again, so tomorrow if you need to like go and make some changes to the pipeline, you have to again go and manage, like create IT project to deal with the other teams. Okay, so that's where the innovation can come in, and we realized that with our customers, and what we try to do was, why not get the data into the marketing automation platform system. Your opportunities data, your quotes data, your subscription data can stay where it is in your Salesforce CRM, and we uh, can enable the marketing operations team to access that data directly at the source. You can
There are no
use
two
that.
copies.
There are no copies. Yeah.
Mm,
One of the inefficiencies is copies. Okay, be it
mm,
asset copy or be it your data copy. Okay, so you have like campaign one, campaign two, test campaign threes. So the team doesn't know which one is the right one. So same thing is the data as well now. So you don't know if it's real time data. You have to ensure that the pipeline is set, configured properly, and we have got the recent data. Okay, but that all can be taken away if you directly access the one system of truth. You are directly using the, let's say in this case, Salesforce CRM now. So Salesforce, you can directly query the Salesforce CRM to create your segmentations. You can directly use that data into your campaigns to build those awesome hyper personalized customer journeys, and again at scale. So that's the innovation bit I'm talking about. So, and that's what we did. We enabled the companies to take away all that pipelines and just use the data at source, be it Salesforce, Snowflake, Dynamic
mm.
CRMs, and BigQuery. So that's you need to like look at these three uh, parameters: the process, the automation, and the innovation. So
Got it.
that was the end user data now. But again, if I talk about the attribution data now, so how
Mm,
do we solve that? Because the attribution data is getting created into your marketing system. The data
right.
is not, but that data is it's going downstream. And how would you make sure that everyone is reading it the same way you are creating it? So we did uh, again help with, like, we created a solution that helps with the unified marketing data, the marketing asset naming now. Okay, so the campaign names are so intuitive. So when someone down the stake any other stakeholder is reading it, the person exactly knows what the campaign was meant for, what was the channel it was meant for, what
Mm,
uh, audience it was running for. And so it's everyone is on the same page when they are looking at that attribution data.
got
So
it.
that's what the attribution data, you can solve that attribution data by making sure that it's unified across all your teams. Okay, and the third one is the asset metadata now. So asset metadata is again something that's going to keep happening. Okay, you have teams have like lot of we have companies, sorry, where they have teams sitting across globe, and many members in each team now, and they're creating assets. They don't know if I'm supposed to use that asset. Let me create one copy. Okay, so what we did with that was, like, again, why not just take a version control? Okay, so why don't you don't have to create copies of the asset. You have a version control that tells you, okay, this asset was last modified by this user, and you can have the comment saying that, hey, you can use this, you cannot use this. You have all that history there, who modified it last. You pretty much know what's happening with just one asset record. Okay, so you can remove that, creating multiple copies of the assets. And as I said now, but also, like, once you create a campaign now, like, you might be running campaigns for the holiday season, or you always have campaigns for a very short shelf. Okay, and once it has done its job, it sits in the system and it adds to the clutter. It slows down your instance. So, and I did mention earlier, again, removing the assets in your uh, marketing automation platform is not a straightforward job. Okay, so it is a painful process. Okay,
Mm,
and uh, so we can build a process there. Okay, anytime, let's say I create a campaign, okay, and I just created that campaign in error, or let's say it just for testing few things. It's not the real that I know, real one I want to use. But what happens is when they go want to go and delete that campaign or any other
Hmm.
asset for that matter, uh,
Right.
it's not an easy job. It's not a quick job. Okay, so you can build a process saying that, hey, anytime you realize that an asset is not to be used, you go and prefix that. Hey, go prefix that with a Z, or just say to be
Hmm.
deleted. Or you can create a folder where you can push that asset. Okay, and like, hey, this folder is for all those assets that we're not going to use. And so
Hmm.
that the process you can build, and we can build an automation now. That's what we did. We created an API program now that works with all these processes. Okay, hey, look at this folder. Anything that in that folder, you go and automatically delete it. So it's much easier when a program does it. It goes and clears all the dependencies, and it goes and deletes that asset. So that way, and it's a recurring theme. Okay, so that way, like, you get to all your redundancies, and you keep your system neat and clean, so that when your team members are logging into the system and are trying to use the asset they have to use, they know which asset to go to. You can save those few extra clicks, few extra minutes they have to figure out to really start doing the job.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So
So,
those are three data sources. Yeah.
yeah, got it. So, those are the three main categories in which you think about it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Specific to the data ones that we spoke about, and that's how we have worked with our customers to resolve them.
okay, yeah, that was really helpful.
Mhm.
Um, so,
We can also talk, I mean, the other thing that we spoke about is the business transition related tech debt. I think you
right.
jumped one slide sooner, but you can just go back. So, oh, I think it's okay. It doesn't matter because there's not much on the slide. So, but if you go back to the slide where we had mentioned the sources of tech debt, yeah, on this now. We spoke about the org models that brings in the tech debt. We spoke about the business transition. So, see, for any healthy company now growing, acquiring, demerging it's a common theme these days. Okay, so that's how the companies grow. Okay, now let's talk about the first business set of tech debt. Okay, which was the company having the multiple business units now. Okay, so all these three are actually the larger use cases. They are complex and they are time taking. Okay, and it involves many stakeholders, but it is the right. It provides the companies the best of the opportunity to go and clear all the tech debt and set the proper framework in place to so that these use cases in the future are handled more efficiently with your the framework for managing tech debt. Okay, so let's talk about the multiple business units now. So
Hmm.
we had a case where, like, they wanted to use the best. So the main instance now, the North American instance had the primary the business unit for that company now, and it was driving the standard practices that need to be used across all the other business units. Okay, and they had to apply the same standards across the other business units now. So they had to use the same campaigns, they had to use the similar landing pages, and but the challenge was they had to go and create those assets manually into the other
All over again.
instances,
Hmm.
and it's a lot of it takes a lot of time. Okay,
That
just
is.
creating this probably
Yeah,
like a medium to like complex campaign can take, just looking at the as it is, if creating can take anywhere between 4 to 8 hours. If you
it
have,
does. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
if you have like hundreds of those campaigns, you are pretty much like again managing a IT project here. So
Hmm.
what we did was we enabled automatic transferring of those assets from one instance to other instance. Okay,
Hmm.
so that way the teams can go on just defining the campaigns that had to be uh, applied to other business units, go and create that the standard template. And what we did was we automated moving those assets as across the business unit.
Hmm.
So that's how we helped with that one use case. Okay, and we also had a use case where a company split. Okay, and the they had to, it had many brands in that one instance now, and they had to take away uh, the the brand. They had to split the branch now, and there was one more
Hmm.
instance. The same thing again. You had to uh, remove the certain assets that are no more specific to that brand, and again move that asset specific to a brand to a different instance that's now going to be driving the other brand. So
Right.
this asset transfer as well as removing the assets, okay, both were automated. We automated both the tasks, and they were actually like able to complete the split and set make their marketing operations live in like no time. So automation did help with that. Okay.
Yeah,
So and
I remember
mhm.
the last case that you're talking about, where they were thinking that it'll take about an entire year to
Yes.
finish
Yeah, yeah,
manually, and
yeah.
I remember you talking about how we did it programmatically to save.
Correct.
I think we
Yeah.
did it like in 45 days or less than that, I think,
Yeah, it's
from
almost like you can
ideation
save
to.
anywhere like more than like 10x, because if I just have to like take one simple campaign, like let's say you have a campaign, a person, if you have to create the campaign, might take anywhere between 2 to 8 hours, depending on the complexity of the campaign.
Mhm.
But our app does it in probably like 5 to 10 minutes. So you can see the time saved here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The great. I think Shiv, I've taken at least the
Yeah,
different.
sorry. I think one more is tech replacement as well. So because I know there's so many use
Did you miss
cases, so
that?
it's easier
Okay.
to keep. Yeah. So
Okay.
even like one instance was a company moved away from Dynamic CRM to Salesforce CRM, but they had to ensure that their marketing automation instance is working as required with the Salesforce instance. So they had to run a pilot project, and now they created a sandbox instance for their marketing automation instance. But again, the same challenge. The challenge was moving the assets from, they created a scope of few campaigns, few landing pages they want to test the Salesforce integration with. And they wanted to move those assets to the sandbox instance now. And the automation app that we had, the asset automation platform, Portkey has, it helped them with like doing that feasibility test in like a week's time versus 2 or 3 months time. So yeah, but overall the thing is you are looking at these uh, the three-step framework that I just described. Okay,
Yeah.
processes, automation, and innovation can solve and set you on that road to the zero tech debt. Okay, so you just have to, again, I'm sure that many other companies might have some more parameters that could be applied to that, but overall the larger framework can still remain the same. And you just apply that work. Again, I think you can come to us. We have done that. We can analyze the tech debt challenge that you're having, address all the inefficiencies, create a plan, and make sure that we uh, implement it for you so that it becomes a clockwork for you to keep on just doing the same thing and being more efficient.
Yeah. I mean, for me specifically, it was very helpful to know how to even acknowledge and recognize that there is tech debt and that
Yeah.
your team is doing something that they're not supposed to be doing. Instead of using that tool, they're maintaining that tool. That's a red flag for you.
the
That I
the
think is a.
decoupling is pretty important. Okay, the team
Yeah.
can still go on. As I said, your marketing operations team should go on doing their job, and as a stakeholder, you can implement that framework that can decouple your team from the processes, the automations, and then you have a perpetual cycle that gives you that much required uh, what do you call efficient operations for your
Right.
marketing teams.
Definitely. So that was a big takeaway for me and the three-step process. So this has definitely been insightful for me, and I'm hoping that our audience also finds this useful.
I'm
And
hoping.
all right. So let's get into the Q&A session. And apart from that, if you want to drop off now, you can drop off as well. For Pete, not you, Shiv. You'll be answering the questions.
No, yes, but yeah, thanks, Bharat. I think it was a wonderful first webinar. That's what I think. I hope the people who join now have it helped them to understand few things, and there are some key takeaways. And yeah, always like reach out to us. We can help. And it doesn't have to be. You can just like send an email or like reach out to us. We'll just like be there to answer your queries and just help you understand better.
Got it.
All right.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.